Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very exciting Titan Talk today.
Yeah.
As always, I'm Kilgoon. I'm hosting today because it's a Monday, and Hindu Man's not here on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
And joining me today, I have the wonderful Pon Pon.
Yeah, hello.
How you doing today, Pon Pon?
It's a good day. It's a good day. I tried something new for lunch. It was okay.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah, you were telling me about it. It was like Italian-Indian fusion.
Yes, it was it was chicken 65, which is like chicken with 65 spices. But as an Alfredo.
Is that why it's called that?
Yeah.
I just knew it was like spicy chicken. I had no idea where the name came from.
It's like an Alfredo, and I was like, this is too interesting to say no to trying once. And it will be tried once and never again.
Just the once. Okay.
Yeah, it was fine. It was okay. It's just I wouldn't seek it again.
Sweet. Well, I'm glad you tried something new. I usually end up getting a salad on Mondays, so I just had a salad. It was boring, but you know.
I mean, it's good for you. It's better than Alfredo.
Yeah, I swear, since we had to start coming back to work every day, I've gained 20 pounds. I just it's so hard to I eat so much healthier at home, and I'm really just striving to not order the things I want every day.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
Anyway, I know people are tuned in here not because they want to hear us talk about lunch.
We could just turn this to a food review channel.
So one of the top sports talk guys here in Atlanta also runs Atlanta Eats, which is like a thing that he talks. So half of his sports talk show every day is him talking about food, and it pisses off all the sports fans, I think. But he's been around for forever. Anyway, I am intentionally kind of delaying getting into the roadmap just a minute or two, because if we start too soon, then people that are joining the show a minute or two late are this is kind of like when you're having a meeting at work and you're we'll actually start whatever. But anyway, I will start talking about, we have a build going right now that will update some things for the current live version of the game. Things that will be fixed in this update will be Xbalanque's camera being weirdly zoomed in the lobby and affecting other gods. If you click on Xbalanque and then somebody else, it's oddly zoomed. So that'll be fixed. We have FX fixes for Artemis's Frostwarden traps, Frostwarden recall, Soul Vampire ability 1 and ability 4, which had broken rings on low settings. So I think all of these were low settings issues.
Yeah.
And I think some of the Artemis stuff may have been friendly enemy visibility treatments as well. Yeah. So those are getting updated. Also removing the pumpkin from the Saga featured tile. So if you looked in the Saga, didn't say that there was a pumpkin anywhere, but as part of the we'll treatment on the storefront in the featured area, there was a pumpkin that was unintended because there was no pumpkin in the Saga. So just to make that clearer, we're updating that. Apologies. The split HUD curio slot by default is going to be moved to be half size next to the starter, similar to the scoreboard layout, because it was just very in the middle of the game kind of, because it was here's your list of items and then here's another big box here next to it. So should be better for for people that are dealing with that. Also resizing the relic slot in the split item store to be more similar size to other inventory items. It was very large. Yeah. It was much bigger than your relic, and everything else was very odd. Or sorry, your relic was small and everything else was big. I said that backwards. And text will be updated as well for the Rip Talon balance change from earlier this week.
Yeah, because that takes a client build for everyone to see.
Yep.
And just for people who missed that, we lowered the lifesteal on it, and we lowered the below 50% health bonus damage.
Yeah. Awesome. So with that out of the way, and us having effectively killed 5 minutes to let people kind of trickle in here at the start of the show, I think it's time to start talking about what we're doing in this game. I made a slideshow.
Oh, we have a slideshow today.
I made a slideshow.
It's one of those days.
It's one of those days. Yeah. Just kind of walking through what we're doing in the next kind of 3 updates, giving people a high-level overview of things that they can be looking forward to. This is maybe not quite as good as some of my other slideshows. I threw it together this morning. But, I figured it would be best for this. So let me switch to, I got to find the right button. I got to go here, and then I got to click here.
See, this is fun because I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, this is
I'm here to react to it.
This is Pon Pon reacts to what we're doing. You do know the actual things that
I know the things we're working on. I just don't know what we're actually going to talk about.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I don't talk too much about anything.
Yeah, this is why I find out what my job is today.
Yeah. So welcome to the October roadmap for SMITE 2. We're going to cover the next kind of 2 updates in a decent amount of detail, and then the third update kind of just tell you who the god is and leave it at that. So Dora is not the goddess. I just was looking for like a roadmap GIF, and Dora with the map was funny. So that was it. Cool. Moving on. We're going to start, as always, with a little bit of a disclaimer. And the disclaimer is everything is subject to change, right? We do our best to give you guys a truthful look at what we're going to do, but life is life. Game development is often very unpredictable. In part, this is because we don't know if something's going to be fun until we try it. So we don't necessarily know how long it's going to take, and it's impossible to know for sure until we actually do things. Secondarily, priorities can and do change. So like right now, the things that we have prioritized, I feel pretty confident for the next 2 updates, what those things are going to be. But there's always a chance that, something pops up. An emergent issue could force us to delay or reprioritize one of these things, and it could happen much later. Do you like I did word art this time? Normally I do the sparkle text, but I figured word art maybe was a different approach that we could do.
Yeah.
And we are people. We are human beings. We get sick. We have family issues. We get jury duty. We've talked about it a couple times recently. And these things can all impact the schedule. So with that preemptive disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about OB20.
Yeah.
OB20 comes out October 7th. We're going to go through the full patch notes for this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So our next show. But first, we're going to give you like a preview of some of the things that are going to be coming in this update. First, we have Osiris.
Yeah.
We already told you that Osiris was coming. Also, there will be an Osiris aspect. We also already told you that Osiris's aspect would be coming. I don't think we've talked about most of the rest of the stuff. So this is kind of a preview for some of the other stuff that's in this update. The new match lobby will be shipping in OB20. So if you saw us preview it a little while ago, it's gotten a lot better, I think, over the past week or 2 of development. But this will allow you to see your teammates' models loading in and your team forming. There's a lot of extra work that we've done that I think makes it a lot better of an experience.
Yeah, it's been a lot improved. I know, like, especially like assault picking and the ranked picking, like bands phase, like a lot more information is a lot more clear, and it also just presents everyone a lot nicer.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at that tomorrow, or not tomorrow, sorry, next show, Wednesday, in more detail. Also coming as part of the match lobby, simultaneous ranked bans. So if you are, we've talked about this before on the show, but confirming that this is part of this update, and we're moving back to basically how SMITE 1 was, where all 5 people on each team in ranked will ban at the same time. You won't see what the other team is banning.
Yep.
But then everybody bans. The total bans up to 10 will then be shown, and then everybody picks their god with the normal back and forth. Should be a faster ranked experience. Everybody should feel more like they have an impact on the ranked banning process.
Yes.
And I think that we just generally like this approach better.
Yeah, it's just one of the things we want to make sure is that you can get through the lobby quickly, and the ban phase adds a huge amount of time to that. This also gives everyone the match a chance to have their say, which is just kind of nice to have. It does mean there's a little bit of like trade-off of like sometimes you get duplicates, but it means that people who really want something banned can have the control, like especially if like you have a bad matchup and you have a bad matchup, being able to like actually make sure that that's not going to be a problem is good. I think with this, we also updated the amount you need to 20, right?
Yeah, you'll need 20 gods to queue for ranked, because in a worst case scenario, you could need to have that 20th god if you are the last pick and 10 gods have been banned and the other 9 gods you own have been, it's one of those kind of edge case things, but it's just like prevent lobby from failing is one of the core things about making lobby. So you do have to own 20 gods now, which, you could either get to level 20 and just have your 20 gods, or you could buy the Ultimate God Pack. There's a lot of ways to get there.
It'll be fun to also compare ban rates afterwards.
Yeah, it'd be fun to take a look. Next, we will have a new free reward system in the Wandering Market. I have a couple more little bullet points here, but we've definitely heard you guys' feedback that there's not enough things for you to be able to get for free as part of the Wandering Market system, as much as people generally like the new Wandering Market.
Yep.
So a couple more details. We'll go through this all on Wednesday, but just kind of teasery preview. There's more rewards just for playing, and there's more free ways to spend your coins on things. So we'll talk more about what exactly that is on Wednesday, but something to look forward to, more use for your Wandering Market coins. Somebody in chat says, I just want to be able to use my legacy gems. Once again, you can convert your legacy gems into Wandering Market coins, so you can also get any of the stuff that is Wandering Market coins only with legacy gems.
Yep.
So something to be aware of. Next, we have the Reaping Reward, Slaughterhouse Chalk with 4 prisms. These are going to be packaged in a Traveler. I should hide our cameras because...
because now it's covering up stuff.
Did I do that right? Okay, cool. I have a preview of this on the next slide, so people will get to see this in just a second here. But I think this looks pretty cool. It's going to be packaged as a Traveler that you'll unlock for free once you get to the correct number of pumpkins as part of the Reaping event. And pretty excited with the way all these turned out. I think it's pretty sweet. Also, there will be 2 new Reaping Travelers.
Nice.
One of them is a reimagining of a classic skin. So not a direct port. It was one that was not maybe up to the modern standards that we've gone back and updated a little bit.
Is it the
more.
one we played today?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. So so I think it should be fun.
Yeah.
And I think this might be my last bullet point here. Oh, no, 2 more. Cross-gen Street King Sun Wukong will be coming out. This is one of, like, I think 3 cross-gen skins that we still need to ship. So that'll be part of this update. And more. Nice. There is other stuff that's in this update. I didn't want to go through every little detail. There's a lot more stuff to talk about on Wednesday. But a lot of stuff that will be coming up. And then my next slide here, I have the preview of Slaughterhouse Chalk and his 4 prisms, which I think are looking pretty sweet and like a diverse crew of crazy killer dudes.
Yeah. That is really cool looking.
Yeah, I think there's kind of like one for everybody, which I think is the fun of these prisms. And I'm really excited to start playing with these.
So the real question is, they have the bloody effect still?
They do. Josh did the bloody effect.
Nice.
So they do get bloodier as you do more damage. I think that's the mechanic.
I think it's as you kill people.
Yeah. So so I think these are really cool. Obviously, the one on the far left is the classic Slaughterhouse updated. And then we have these 4 new prisms. They have their own names that we'll talk about on Wednesday, and we'll show you a little bit more about how they look. But I think these are pretty sweet.
Yep.
Coming up next, we have OB21 on October 21st, which I just thought is funny that it's 21 on the 21st.
Yeah,
it's O.
just lined
up.
up.
I don't know. Just looks good. It's right before Halloween, which is why I put Halloween gifts on here, because I didn't want to spoil what was in the update before I started clicking through and trying to make the animations work to where it didn't show the things until I click on it.
You didn't add like them spinning in and like going big and pulsing?
I did this in like an hour this morning. There's only so much time I could put into it. But first thing first is the new god that will be included in OB21. A longtime fan favorite.
Yeah.
First female god in a while. It is Sept.
Yeah, which... Fun thing, right next to Osiris.
Yeah, right next to Osiris. So it's kind of a good pairing. We probably should have announced Osiris and Sept on the same show, but just kind of didn't work out in terms of timing. Very excited for her to be in the game. Yeah. As a kind of fun dev note, Caps' first god.
Yep.
So Caps has been doing more design stuff behind the scene.
Yep, we've been using Sept as a good opportunity for him to get familiar with blueprints and set up characters and going through the process, and that's been really fun. It's been nice to have like someone else be able to help and contribute, and he's been doing a great job at it.
And as the goddess of demonetization is back at long last, she will be called Sept in SMITE 2. We are sticking with that version of the name for obvious reasons.
We should ship a demonetized title.
I actually wanted to make the global emote be like a demonetized stamp.
Oh,
but
geez.
I don't know. I thought that was funny. I do have some more details about Sept. First, the +1 focuses on giving her more burst/clear as a mage. Towards the end of SMITE 1's life, she was primarily, I guess I can pull her cameras back up for a second. She was primarily a support character.
Yeah.
And you didn't really see her outside of that. So we want to make sure that she works as a mage.
Yeah.
Because that's part of her original identity,
yes.
right? And part of how we're doing that is the current plan is beefing up the idea of her enhanced basic and giving her access to that more often.
Yep.
There's more to it, but that's kind of the teasery bit that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Next, also for Sept, her aspect is going to be made for a more supportive play style. So obviously, Sept's one of those gods that like I think was played in every role at some point in
Yeah.
Smite 1. But the two core identities for the character were mid lane and support. So we want to make sure we're enabling both of those.
Yeah.
So
and we played support Sept today, and it definitely was contributed a lot of support things to that game.
dude, I'm not going to say I was raging, but I might have been raging a little bit. Like kind of unkillable plus CC plus shielding plus I'm always silenced.
Some of that was team comp.
Plus doing so much damage. I don't know.
It was good though.
It was good. And I do have a little bit more of a teaser on the aspect. The overall goal is that she'll do less damage with lower scaling, but give her team more consistent buffs if you pick the aspect. So not a lot of further details beyond that today, but we'll talk more about it soon. Next, also coming in OB21, I think I accidentally made this a second bullet,
the aspect.
but also the aspect. Yeah, I mentioned the aspect. The aspect is coming as part of OB21.
We're gonna tease the other one.
The other one?
We?
I think so. But give me a second. I think I have something else first.
Okay.
Also, scheduled for OB21 right now. And this is probably the least set in stone thing on here, but we are pushing very hard to make this happen for OB21. We will be shipping an all-new Conquest gameplay feature. This is something that we've been working on behind the scenes for a long time, Pon.
Yes.
We've been experimenting with different Conquest gameplay features like this for a couple months probably at this point.
Yeah, because we had that kind of idea of doing like a more Conquest focused pass around like 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
And we did a few things in that pass. We made things more contestable. We changed some of the buff stuff around. We changed how some of the lanes work. We added like the opening of that fire giant camp. We also did the ward part, which is one part that we wanted to do for Conquest in 19. And this was kind of meant to be in that group of thing, but we wanted to make sure that we had a good loop for it, and it felt good, and it felt good in practice. So we decided to make sure that we dedicated the time towards it rather than trying to just get it out there as fast as we could.
Yeah, and somebody is saying, so like Quick Play Conquest? No, this is a core Conquest update. So this is not a separate mode. This is a new feature that will be added to existing Conquest. And I have a couple more like teasery bullet points here. Basically, just to give you a little more context, some of our goals for it is we want to create new moments to fight. I should hide our cameras again. New moments to fight. Did I do that right? No, I pushed the wrong button. Okay, there we go. New moments to fight, as I said for the third time.
Yep.
And also adding kind of a new objective loop that sits within the existing Conquest and makes the Conquest just a more interesting version of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's been fun in our playtesting recently. And yeah, that's as much teasering probably as I'm going to do here, unless there's anything else you want to chime in with.
I think that's a good level of teaser.
Cool. Next, a classic god aspect, which we definitely have not spoiled in past PTSs.
No, it has not been there at all.
Nobody watching the show has any idea what we're talking about. So we're going to leave it at that. And we're going to move on to the next thing that's in OB21. There are 2 new Reaping Travelers that are part of this that will give you pumpkins if you are still trying to get pumpkins to get rewards. There is the Cross-Gen Hell's Fury Mercury, which is, I believe, our last missing Cross-Gen Divine Legacy skin other than King Arthur.
Yes.
Which, obviously, King Arthur's not in the game yet. Once he's in the game, that will come over. But we're pretty much caught up with those now, so that's very exciting for me. And then I think the last thing I have here is just and more. There's actually a couple other things that I think are really exciting that are currently on the schedule for this update, but aren't like far enough along for me to feel confident saying, definitely look forward to this coming as part of OB21, right? But I think that this should be an exciting update for everybody between, Sept being awesome, the other cool new classic god aspect, plus new Conquest gameplay feature. Should be a very exciting update for people. I think that's it for OB21. Any? No? Okay.
No.
All right.
I think that's it.
And then OB22. I just found some Thanksgiving gifts for this one because once again I didn't want to spoil things before I clicked forward. Julia Childs, man, had to get the Julia Childs gift. Anyway, so launching on November 4th, OB22, the next god coming will be my boy Sylvanas.
It's happening.
It's happening. I am so excited. like the first time we played him in playtests, and I'm just like, pull.
Dude, today the pulls were insane.
They were crazy. Like there was the pull out of Ox at the end.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of really, some people like, I knew the cactus shirt was for Sylvanas. I actually did think about that when I put the shirt on, but I was like, maybe it's too much of a stretch. Yeah, I'm super stoked for Sylvanas. You're working on Sylvanas.
Yes, I am working on Sylvanas.
So I did put some bullet points here. I'm going to pull up the bullet point. You can talk us if you want to say more or less. First thing is the +1s focus on making his seeds and plants more interesting.
Yes.
The next one is his AO2 and AO3 are planned to interact with his plants.
Yep.
And the last bullet point I got from our notes today were an aspect idea is being built around Grover becoming angry when his trees are destroyed.
Yes. So yeah, you pretty much covered everything. His core ability set is actually really, really good, right? Like big team knockup, pull, you can root someone, you can shred prots, you have the heal and you have the damage over time. You have good clear with your AoE autos. Like his whole base kit is really good, but the like actually placing down a plant and like doing anything other than like it just being a mana aura is like kind of lame. So we want to just make that more interesting and give the seeds a kind of a way to loop into that as well. Technically, the AO4 will also interact with the plants, but in a way that we didn't talk about here.
Yeah.
So basically, you're gonna care a bit more about your plants and making sure you are either around them or have done something with the plants to make them more impactful. And then the aspect, which I didn't really talk about, but the goal there is to make him more offensive in nature, more of an either potentially carry, potentially jungler. It's still being worked on, but yeah, Grover gets mad when his trees are destroyed, and so that gives him some more offensive capability.
Yep. Awesome. I think beyond that, for OB22, all I currently have listed here is and more, because we have quite a few things that are kind of like in the oven right now and on our kind of to-do list that I just don't feel quite confident saying exactly what's going to be in the update beyond Sylvanas right now, but I wanted to give you kind of a better view of what's coming in the next 2 updates and then say, hey, look forward to Sylvanas in OB22, and we'll talk more about the other stuff in OB22 as we get a little bit closer. I also just really quickly wanted to give you guys we talked a little bit about what the end of the year is going to look like. Mm-hmm. So just kind of, sorry, my camera's back on just for a second because I'm not covering anything. I said this is intentionally left vague because we're far enough out. The details are less locked in. That's what I just said. Anyway, looking further out, what does the rest of the year look like? I don't want to talk about. I'm not going to talk about exactly like what content is releasing as part of updates, but just giving you like what updates to expect for the rest of the year. Because I think people are like, because we've been saying we're taking a little bit of time off for the holidays. Some people are like thinking that we're not going to patch after Thanksgiving or something. Mm-hmm. So I just want to talk about like when you should expect updates for the rest of the year, right?
Right.
So first thing is, after this roadmap, we will have 3 more 2-week updates with gods in 2025. So those will be OB23, November 18th, OB24, December 2nd, and OB25, December 26th. So, we're still patching every 2 weeks. We're still leaving you a new god every 2 weeks. We're still having other great new content coming in. Also, I should hide our cameras because it's about to overcover. After that, the week after that is Christmas, and the week after that is New Year's. So as a result of that, that's the time that we're going to be taking a little bit longer to spend some time with our families and whatnot. Right. And then we're going to resume our 2-week cadence. So, like I said, once again, we're people with families. The best thing for long-term success is to make sure the team gets breaks and doesn't burn out, right? Which is an important thing. We have not really had a break in SMITE 2 so far. So this is kind of something needed. And then we will be coming out with the next update on January 23rd, or excuse me, January 13th. Misspoke. So this is kind of the schedule for the next updates. And yeah, I guess I said the 26th. For this update, OB25 is on December 16th. The text on screen should be correct. Yeah. So November 18th, December 2nd, December 16th, then a longer break over the holidays. And we're talking about like, can we get some stuff into this update that we can turn on in the middle of it that, will make it still feel like there's stuff going on, but no actual big, new release download for this period.
Right, and that's like even just practically, right? Like there's blackout dates for like actual partners to like actually get those patches up anyway. So there's even a limited capacity to patch during that time window.
And then back on January 13th with more gods and, keep going with making the game better. That is the things that I wanted to talk about today. I also, for people, we'll talk about details about these updates in a future roadmap. I have one final slide, which is literally just next 3 updates put together on one slide, because I'm expecting that people will screen cap this and share it. Yep. And having a screen capable, shareable final slide is probably the best way of doing that. Yep. So I'm leaving this up for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I don't know. I'll take the cameras back to us in just a second. But I'm pretty excited. I think that we've got a lot of cool stuff coming out in the next, we talked a lot about the stuff that's coming out in the next 2 updates. And I think that there's a lot of really exciting features for people and new gods that people are excited about. And then, November 4th, there will be other exciting stuff beyond Sylvanas. We're just not quite ready to talk about it yet. So I think this should be an exciting few weeks or a few months or month or so of upcoming updates. And I'm going to turn off this now and come back to us. And we can answer some questions. Oh, nope. Cool. This one? Nope. Oh. How do I do the one with 1 + 2 plus guest? There we go. Sorry. Yeah, I was trying to find, we had to get Manny back in the camera. So apologies for the multi-camera shots there.
This is actually a question that I had. How do you spell Manny?
We just spelled Manny. Is that not okay? Is that not the right way?
Well, because I realized as I was typing it in chat one day that like it's the same thing as like I listen to a ton of audiobooks.
Yeah.
And right now I'm listening to it's Name of the Wind. I'm reading the second book of that series.
Yeah.
And the main character in that book is called Kavoth.
Okay.
And I just had to actually go look up how it's spelled, because that's like now in audiobooks I have no idea how like anything is spelled.
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
You're through in like the Stormlight stuff, no idea how to spell that. So I had to go like actively go look it up.
I think that's why I actually have like a harder time listening to like fantasy and sci-fi audiobooks, because it's like it's harder for me to follow the made up words than it is in writing. You know?
It is.
I do a decent amount of audiobooks, but I more listen to like just not sci-fi and fantasy, whereas I read a lot of sci-fi and fantasy. Yeah. So anyway.
But cool. Now I know how to spell Manny.
Yeah, Manny. There we go. Now people are arguing that it should be like
now people are
spelled differently.
I was thinking maybe like Mani, and someone said someone typed that as like wanting a word skin for Manny.
Yeah, some people want it like Manny Petty. There's all sorts of different ways of going about it.
So now the rest of the chat's going to be them arguing about
Monet, Mayoni, Maui. Yeah, there are lots of funny spellings here. Cool. That's kind of what we had prepped for today. Beyond that, we're here to chat, answer some questions. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about before we get into questions.
I think it's gonna be more for the Wednesday show. Like, there's some stuff in 20 that's interesting. That we just kind of locked in today. That's the other thing that's sometimes weird about these roadmaps is, like, for example, the curio system.
Yeah.
Was decided it was going into that patch like 3 days before.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so like part of like the interesting stuff about when we do roadmaps, like it's just what do we end up having some time for to get in that we know we wanted to have like a curio like system, and we kind of outlined what it would look like, but we didn't know exactly when it would fit in, and we just happen to have the time to be able to do it and the bandwidth at the right opportunity. So like some of that stuff ends up coming in. I'm sure that'll happen during our patches as well. But yeah, on Wednesday we'll probably have some more stuff to go over.
Yeah. And I think that like I know that there's like 2 or 3 things I left off this intentionally just because I was like, it's interesting, but maybe not worth putting as part of this. Right. So it's like, and I also want people to get into the expectation of like, there will be other stuff in these updates too, right? It's like the and more actually is reasonable and valuable, right? It's not just like we're throwing it out there. It's just we need to have a little bit of flexibility in terms of like what we're actually going to be doing. So, let's see. Who made the Titan Talk stream start music? I don't know. It was a song that we got as part of a song service. I could look up the name of it, but I don't know. Can I tell you the 2 travelers in the Osiris update? The gods involved. I believe it's. I'm gonna look just to be sure. I know one of them I'm sure of, and the other one I'm like 99% sure because I think it's what I played today. So give me a second if you want to pick a question while I'm checking.
Let's see. Should belong to a poison balance. Yeah, I think there is a change in the next balance patch for specifically the poison damage. I know Clumsy was looking at that earlier.
Osiris, so OB20's Travelers will be for Mulan and Neith.
Yep. That sounds right.
That was what I was expecting, but I just wanted to look and check before I opened my mouth.
Yeah, what we do is we take the whole chat and we just...
Oh, yeah, Patience losing his mind. Mulan, woo!
We actually run through there, and anytime anyone mentions a character, we just, like, decide to just buff that if they say nerf, and if it's they ask for, like, a buff, we just nerf it instead.
Yeah.
And we just do a percentile amount based off how the chat is reacting.
Mulan and who? Neith.
With your aspect having a somewhat similar type of tech to Discordia's 3, is there any chance we could see yours the next page sooner? I mean, that tech's just been there for a while. We've had the ability to do cooldown type reduction-y things for a long time. Of the things for Discordia, that wouldn't be her most difficult bit. It probably is actually the VGS thing that she does, which is probably not that hard. She's probably just a character that doesn't have too much going on, because she was our example case when we first started like making the tools for us. Discordia 1 was the example of we need to be able to fire a projectile that creates a deployable that can then fire projectiles, right? Like, because that one is a whole bunch of pieces. So we built that whole system around the idea of Discordia. Like, she was the example case for that piece of tech. So we've largely actually gotten the hard stuff out for her.
Yeah, I think like Madness was the other part that was hard for her.
Yeah, which we do have kind of with Taunt. Kind of.
It's a little bit different, though.
It is a little bit different.
Yeah. Because we took it from Serket when we made her.
Yeah. And they're similar, but not quite the same.
Yeah.
Also, oh my God, Discordia mentioned, anytime I mention a character, it's going to be.
Yes.
I saw one that I wanted to answer, but I've lost it now.
That's the way this show goes. Console text chat cert during the slowdown. You said that Sony is off, but we should do it anyway. We can't do it if if they're off, right? So Sony and Microsoft do not process any certifications. Their entire teams are off. And as a result, it isn't really an extended time off. It isn't an extended delay in their eyes because they don't work for 2 of those weeks. It still runs into the same issues that we have right now, unfortunately. So hopefully I explained that okay.
I saw 2 questions. One is, and I just don't know the answer to this. Do we still have in customs the ability to do the old banning system for competitive play?
I believe so.
It'd be good to probably just double check and make sure, because that should be something that we keep there for that style play. And the other one was someone mentioned that the Curio and Artemis traps are being treated as the same for the purposes of like it's counting against you as actually having like against a trap, which I could kind of see that being the case, but I would expect her traps to break with just base wards. So I can go look at that. I can go take a look. It's that I could see why that could be the case, but I would be surprised that it broke suddenly with Curios versus wards, which is a general concept.
Can you buy these God-scented candles somewhere? You can. I don't know if the name's on it. Let's see. Celestial Wicks is the name of the website. I think I'm not exactly sure if it's like an Etsy store or if it's a separate storefront, but Celestial Wicks is the name. So you can check out Celestial Wicks and get some Smite scented candles. We've been getting this question a lot, and as a designer, it'd be great if you could weigh in on removing the self root from Amir's freeze. We have a chatter who asks this most days.
So I'm probably the designer that's going to be the least helpful in regards to people who want the root removed, because I tend to, when we're talking about like removing some restrictions that we have on some character movement abilities, it's part of their counterplay, right? Like they have to be in the right position, they have to be kind of locked into this to get a very powerful effect. I would say if the people feel like the trade-off for the root isn't worthwhile, I'd rather actually buff the effect than just remove the root. Because when everyone could just move at full speed doing all their things, it does feel more fluid for the character, but it also, like, you have to remember that people have to play against this. Being able to, like, react to that, be able to, like, space properly is a fun mini game into its own right. So I tend to like those things, or at least I would like to try and keep them in some capacity, like the slow. Like when we removed it from the 2, I think that was a good change, but we also kept it so that, like, you're slow during that window. So I don't like the removal of it just because he has a lot of other things he can do while moving. He has, like, the ability to, like, actually slow you ahead of time to keep you in range. When he gets on top of you, he should feel threatening, and if he can just run at you, we actually probably have to nerf how threatening he can be, which I think is less. It more homogenizes what the characters do. The second part is that animation looks really, really bad when you make it so that he like, it's not. We have things called upper lower body splits where we can say, like, yeah, he can move. But, like, the emphasis he has on, like, charging forward, a lot of that is in the hips and legs. And when you make it upper body only, he just kind of does, like, and that's all you get out of it. And it just doesn't really look great. So even if it did look great, I would still err on the side of I would rather him have the self root and make that payoff worthwhile for the Ymir player, because we have characters who can move at full velocity doing other things. And we want to make sure that the players who like like, I'm a much more slower tank, but I feel tanky and I feel like I can bring a lot of CC, like, that should be respected.
I see a couple people asking about more goddesses. We have not done a goddess in a while.
Yes.
It's kind of an inadvertent miss that we didn't do any female goddesses. Sept, obviously, the next character after Osiris, is a goddess. Sylvanas, not a goddess. But as I said, we do have 3 more updates planned for this year. And I'll be a little spoilery today. Currently, those are all planned to be goddesses.
Yes.
So if you are a goddess enjoyer, the next 3 gods after Sylvanas currently planned to be goddesses. I'm not going to give you more than that. Chat. The chat always just wants more. What roles? What about this? What are their exact names? Can you tell us exactly what the +1 will be? Just get a little bit of patience, guys. A little bit of patience.
They're characters from the video game Smite.
They're characters from the video game Smite. There you go. Let's see. Any new god blood types you can share?
That is one of those things that's always really interesting, like the other, like, kind of like gacha games.
Yeah.
They often do include, like, blood type and astrologic sign for their characters.
Because I think blood type is, like, there's some kind of, like,
it's like a cultural thing in Japan.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, reading the old, like, Street Fighter 2 instruction book, I think it had, like, blood types in there and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. What are your thoughts on Loki aspect?
So here, do I say anything?
We can just leave it at that.
Just tune in on Wednesday. Tune in on Wednesday.
Let's see.
Someone's asking about specifically if Iset's aspect will have healing in it.
I mean, technically, her 4 always heals.
Yeah.
So yes.
Plays aspect, that healing stay in there,
yeah.
At least as far as I remember.
Yeah.
I think one that's interesting is the Smite kill streaks. I'd be more curious to expand on that question from the person who's asking it. I know one thing right now people talk about is, like, the game feels a little bit too anti-snowball-y in the sense of, like, one team generates a pretty big lead early on, and, like, shutting down that kill streak can actually be a really big swing back the other way. I think I'm generally on board with that being probably a little too intense, but I think the world where it's like when we talk about burst metas versus tank metas. I'd rather be in a burst meta than a tank meta, because generally the burst meta at least is going to be the more fun of the two, and you can slowly kind of whittle it back to be in the healthy spot. I think if kill streaks aren't rewarding enough, and, like, people who generate a snowball can just they can make 2, 3, 4 mistakes and it doesn't matter. That's I think a worse world to live in.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I'm probably on the same side there. I just want to be very careful about how we approach that. And I have, like, some ideas about how I want to do that, but that's, like, a really big overhaul that takes a lot of time. That it's not currently in my, like, immediate things to be doing in the next patches is adjusting that.
Mm-hmm.
We might be able to do some soft stuff.
This is not a specific chat question, but something that came up last week was the idea of more like crazy active items, more game-changing, flashy play active items.
Yeah. I like them in concept. They generally require a significantly higher amount of work to do, which when we're just building out other stuff was a lot more difficult. And some of the ones we've tried, so like I think Scepter is probably our best example of one that really changes the dynamic of fights. When that gets used really well in a team fight, it's really, really impactful.
Yeah.
The actual win rate of the item is pretty okay when it is built, so people who do build it tend to be pretty effective with it. But it's also just not very popular because if they're going to be that game-changing and that swingy, you have to kind of accept that they're probably going to be unpopular because you probably adjust them in the way of they don't provide many stats.
Yeah.
And people just like to buy stat items. So we definitely made an intentional change to kind of fleshing out the core item pool to feel really good. I would like to go back and look at some of the active items and potentially look at some of them to be like, let's amp up their effects a ton. Let's take away the stats that they provide, and let's make them like it will be just okay that they aren't going to be popular because we know even if it's a very, very, very interesting active, it just won't be popular.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And I think the game that has probably the closest comparison is like Dota, and Dota has a very just different balancing state of existence, right? Like you can take Blink Dagger because your character doesn't have as much scaling, right? Like there are characters that can scale, but like a lot of their characters don't have that same level. So like sacrificing the item slot for that utility is absolutely really great. Smite just isn't built the same way, and to change it in that direction might not necessarily be the best thing for the game. So you probably have to just kind of accept some level of like compromise between how powerful these active effects can be and what stats they provide and their popularity. But I think having things that feel really, really impactful, even if people don't build them, is still healthy for the game. Like that's why we haven't removed Scepter of Dominion, because we think it's just cool when it's there.
Yeah, it's like it has.
When it shows up, it feels cool when it's there.
Yes. And when you see it, you're like, oh my God, he did the thing. It's just, I like that kind of a thing. So yeah, I think good takes. Can we know if the Conquest gameplay feature coming in is something brand new or just a new way of something done in Smite 1? I think it's pretty brand new, I would say.
Yeah.
That it exists within the confines of a MOBA. So the kinds of things that you can do in a MOBA and the rewards that make sense for a MOBA and whatnot, it still plays in that way, right? But it is a new thing. It's not a thing ported from Smite 1.
Yeah.
Do I remember way back when Mordred was planned to release with King Arthur? Yes, I do. And this goes back to something I said earlier in the day, which is that game development is hard. And it's really easy to come up with things that sound like they would be cool and amazing and fun to do.
Yeah.
And the team very frequently can even be like, yeah, that sounds fun. Let's try and do that. And then in the process of doing it, realizing, oh, geez, there's no way we can do this, right? And I think that King Arthur is one of those gods that we just realized that like with our current, some of our current state of tech, he's not going to be a good god to play if we put him into the game right now. So we still definitely want to do him. He's one of our most popular gods that isn't in Smite 2 yet.
Yeah.
And we do definitely look at like who's popular. But I think it's just like, do we do it and not do it justice?
Yeah, and I have my own bias too, because like King Arthur was one of the favorite gods I got to work on. And so, and I worked with Chaos a lot about getting his feels correct. And so like, I kind of know what went into making him actually feel really, really good. And I would be upset if we shipped him in a state that like was not up to that same level. Like, and so like, it's definitely worth making sure that he's delivered correctly. There's one other, I've lost. Oh yeah. You're talking about how development can change.
Yeah.
You can also have the reverse case where you end up signing up for more work after the fact. And that changes your stuff. Like Horus and Sept was a dual god release. We knew it was a dual god release, and we'd planned that they'd be like echo fighters kind of, right? Like they would be like, they'd have very similar kits, and Horus would be the more tanky frontline version of that, and Sept would be the more fast like variant of that had faster attacks and was a bit more aggressive. But they'd be from like the same kind of toolkit. But their silhouettes were just too different. And at the end of the day, we went, actually, it's just going to be a lot cooler if they do their own things. it's going to be more true to what they want to do. We like having a giant Birdman is going to want to do very different things from Set. So like we ended up deciding to do different kits for them, but they were now in the schedule where they were. So that Dual God release was it was fun in the other way. I don't remember exactly what ended up not shipping that patch because of it. But I know we had to do a lot of schedule juggling for Horse and Set.
Yeah, that was like my first patch back on SMITE. So I kind of joined like as things were hectically coming to a conclusion there. So I don't remember the full lore of it.
Yeah, and someone even pointed out, is that why Horus has a staff? Yes, they have the same weapon shape because they were meant to be similar characters.
That's so interesting.
So like some of those artifacts end up sneaking into the final stuff, but like yeah, that is why he has a weapon.
Shibalanke's trackers aren't working. We can look at that.
Yep.
I'm just gonna make a note on my phone.
Can we get more soft anti-heal items? I would like to expand that out a little bit more. I think right now the actual healing stuff has been largely... There's still a few allies we want to address. Like, for example, Ra, I think we shipped in the hotfix that he doesn't proc Shield of, like... Mainly it's Shield of Phoenix on his AO2 auto attacks. And then spoiler for next patch, we are bringing back the ability for them to proc items. We're using Yorm Tech to reduce the effectiveness of them. So that'll just be a nice change for Raw overall. He'll still be able to use that cool itemization path. It just won't be overtuned for everyone else. But I would like to expand a little bit on the anti-healing stuff. Final K actually in the Ambassador Discord had an interesting idea for like a way to approach some of that one. Like, so no plans immediately, but when we have time to look at some more itemization, I would like to expand that area out a little bit, because I do think the soft counter, like in the same way that you soft counter crit, or you, like with high physical defense you can soft counter crit, is like, or physical crit, I guess. It's like an example, like wanting to make sure that there's a type of thing you have a little bit of soft ways of dealing with it, but it's not so much like you now don't effectively heal, and if this isn't being bought, then you immediately instant lose. That's really what we wanted to fix.
There's a report that Mulan's bow model has been invisible for a month. Is that on all of her skins, or is that just on a specific one? Because we can definitely take a look at that. I'm just making a note. Cool.
I mean, generally when we do our passes, we are looking at nerfs for like top gods. It's just the top gods for competitive versus top gods for ranked versus top gods for ranked at the majority where people play versus the top gods on casual conquest. Even outside of starting to talk about other modes, just focusing on conquest, they are wildly different. So we try our best to make sure that things that are universally kind of across the board underwhelming get brought up. Things that are overperforming across the board get nerfed. Some of the things that would fall into that list, I think people would go like, what are you guys thinking? What are you guys doing? Right? That's just the nature of things, right? Because win rate isn't the end all be all of if our character's actually doing. And then for things that sit too long in a meta, right? Like Kali for a really long time was on the top ban list. We were pretty aggressive about nerfing her patch after patch until that was no longer the case, and she's in a lot healthier spot for that. I think right now the top two bans are Suku and Ares, which I think are going to be ones that we want to be looking at. Okay. But that is different from the top. They were like, Suku's obviously new, so he couldn't have been on the ban list, but Ares wasn't on there for a really long time. The previous four largely have fallen off. So like we try and make those adjustments. It's just, we are trying to balance between quite a different perception of different player bases that are all like, and again, before we even start talking about other game modes, like this is just even conquest focus, right?
I love some of these kill streak ideas that are popping up in chat. They're amusing, to be sure.
So he did expand on it. So the idea was that kill streaks could be even more impactful. So like as you get a kill streak, you actually have even more power behind you. It is one way to mitigate if you die, you end up getting the snowball kind of turned in the reverse favor. I think we actually even had an idea for something like that at the very start of SMITE 2. It's one of those things where like, if something is that powerful and you're going to be in a 35 potentially minute match and they could get a kill streak as early as minute 8 and they could basically go, okay, we're going to do Gold Fury now, and if you even remotely try to contest us, we have this kill streak thing that is going to just immediately kill you and turn the fight in our way, or like make it so it's really difficult for anyone to ever contest. That's like a type of snowball that can be really, really, really frustrating, and at least it's just early surrenders, which isn't super satisfying for a lot of people. So you'd have to be very careful with something like that. I think there's a reason we haven't done that. I think like Arena ends up working better for something like that, and we've also talked about doing that in like Arena, but Arena is like a lot shorter of an experience, and the odds of someone being able to like leverage that for a huge effect, like they can't leverage that to take a fire giant, right? Like there's not that type of thing. So
this is maybe too rabbit holey, but can we give Grover something from his Paladin's moveset? Like, can we steal like animations from Paladin's Grover?
I thought about this.
Okay.
For real. I did actually think about this. You don't want grapple walls, first off. Or you'd have to give some way of changing how it functions, because he can pull through walls. So you literally would remove that functionality from his kit. That actually gets brought up almost always, but that's like the reason we wouldn't want to do that. The actual Paladin's Grover, I think, is a different rig, because Paladins have very specific needs. Outside of just the fact that they had first-person, third-person modes, right? Like, I don't think he's quite the same.
Yeah.
Like, to actually have him hold the axe and everything, I don't think he's quite the same. So I did look. I will say the aspect's more Grover-focused in regards to, like, the theme of it, but it's not really, like, he's not going to be throwing an axe.
Okay.
As much as it would be fun for him to throw an axe.
Somebody needs lore on who's next to you. This is Manny. Manny's been a regular guest on the show here for a few months.
He might have been on more shows than me.
Possibly, yeah. He was just kind of in the background for a little while as like a decoration, and then he got upgraded to be a full cast member.
Yeah.
So, would we consider giving Kuzumbo a gun when porting him?
Probably not.
Probably not.
You probably just make it a priority to bring over the gun skin, because he got a skin that gave him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, the Mafia one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. What's going to happen with Travelers with pumpkins after the event ends? The plan is that you'll still be able to keep collecting pumpkins, and the rewards should still trigger for you, even though the UI screen that tells you your progress will be going away. So kind of like Adventure Vault in Smite 1, where you could buy those for a long time, and you just would get the keys or whatever it was, and then you could spend them, but there wasn't any UI telling you the details.
We have weather effects. That's one of those things where it's like we probably want to make sure that our performance is fully under control, and we've made the like when you're talking about like a game supporting weather effects, you have to make very specific calls about what performance things you want to enable and disable, and just making sure that we're super locked in on that. Like I know there's some stuff going into 20 about like some performance stuff that we're working on, so like it's just making sure that like all that's really good, and then once we feel like we're in a really, really good spot, we can start to maybe potentially expand on like what tools that we have available to us.
Yeah. I think there's a lot that we can do. I'm excited to see how some of this most recent optimization effort pans out, but we're definitely, we're continuing to focus on optimization, I will say. Our, I don't even know what his title is, but head honcho programmer guy has been focused on optimization a lot over the past month or so. And we made a lot of strides, but some of the stuff he's working on right now is very interesting.
Yeah, and he's even like taught me like how to do like some traces like on my own. So like there's like, for example, there's a fix going in next patch for Hades Ultimate, where Hades Ultimate has a performance hit. And we found out what was causing it because we went in the trace and found the thing, and we had the specific refro for when it happened, and we were able to like literally look at the thing that was wrong. And we're trying to make it a standard practice going forward. We've done obviously some like making sure characters like perform well, but like I specifically went in and did Osiris and did a whole bunch of things on Osiris and traced it and went into the rabbit hole looking at all the stuff and making sure that nothing was like out of spec for that, which is just more people having the tools is also good for the studio, because that also means that like we can catch stuff earlier, rather than like because it can run fine on your machine.
Yeah.
But you can see where it creates like a difference. But it's a lot harder to catch if you don't do that stuff. You have to basically happen to run it on like a low performing machine, and then you notice like, oh, I'm running into a problem now. So,
when is the next update? The next update is October 7th, and we'll be going through it in full detail on Wednesday. showing off Osiris. I know we did a little bit of a preview for him last time. We'll probably also do a quick preview of Eset, I guess, because she's going to be on for PTS. Is that still the plan?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we were going to do that again, but she's in a state that definitely you could.
Yeah.
She's very similar to where Osiris was when we did that.
We'll let you know for sure on Wednesday. Tune in and find out. We'll also go through, some of the other fun stuff, the new Wandering Market stuff, and hopefully it's a good show on Wednesday if you tune in and watch.
How likely are transformation mechanics outside of the Morgan, such as an active that turns you into a dragon? So I would say
Cersei's turns you into a
pig. So I will say that like the Morgan tech is interesting. And we have played around with it. Like we've talked about this on the show before, but we did have like internal testing that the Fire Giant dagger actually turned you into Fire Giant at one point. And that actually worked. You would run around as Fire Giant doing Fire Giant things. It was really early on.
Okay.
It was really, really like the Fire Giant dagger I think got repurposed into what it is now, not the other way around. So we can do that kind of stuff. It is really interesting. It's just finding the right place to do that and making sure that it doesn't look super goofy and like, because the Fire Giant does just kind of slide around when you do that. So, and as you can see with like even things like there's a level of goofiness and jank that we're okay with.
Yeah.
Because like we're in beta and we want rather you have cool things to play with. Like, but like Mike Typhon.
Yeah.
Like his walk set is not really meant for walking down a lane and chasing people. It's really meant for being a jungle camp.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks a little bit goofy when he's walking around sometimes, but it's cool to have it.
Yeah, it's fine. What are your thoughts on items that buff buildings like Emperor's Armor did?
I like them in practice, but they are very. They have two kind of problems. Is they're especially niche.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather an item that does like X effect and it's twice as effective against structures, so that it just brings some utility outside that, because like it can be really hard for like Emperor's Armor to really get its value. It also has no effect in some like arena.
Yeah.
Just doesn't do anything, right? Which is its own kind of like, it's okay to make those items, right? We want to make sure that we're like, that's not a reason not to do an item. But if we can find ways to make it more applicable to more parts of the game, that's generally good, as long as it doesn't hurt the identity of the item. So I don't mind the items. I just would probably approach them differently than just this only affects towers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we had an active early on that was like, it would force the tower to target you. And it was cool, and it made it like if you really wanted to be the person to like tank tower shots, or like you knew someone was going to dive and you couldn't get there, and then you could take the tower back off you. But that scope was like too narrow to really buy.
That makes sense. Well, it's 1:57, and I have a meeting at 2. So I think maybe right now would be a good time for us to do one more question. So that I can wrap up and get to my meeting at 2. I appreciate everybody for watching today, as always, joining us for a quick little October roadmap. Hope you're excited for what we've got coming down the pipe here. And we'll be, but we're excited about what we're working on for sure.
That's an interesting question. Can we get the new God Dev working on Is that on the show? That's one of those things where like anyone who's on the show is based like some people don't want to be on the show, right? Yeah. And that's absolutely okay, right? Like being on the show, talking live, like I'm comfortable with it because I live streamed for a really long time. Yeah. And like I've done a lot of these shows and a lot of these patch note shows. There are people who've worked at the studio for a really long time who are like no, like I'm gonna be too nervous. I'm gonna like, so like it's really up to. I'm not saying this person is already that way, right? Like it's just if you don't see them, if they don't want to come on the show, there's a reason why like you have like kind of like similar people coming on the show pretty consistently is we're the people who are really comfortable with going on the show and talking about stuff.
Yeah, Clumsy says he's still not great at it. He talks at mock speed, and I say like and every 30 seconds, but I do that in normal conversation as well.
Yep.
Because I am infected by California speech virus.
I actually find pre-recorded is harder for me. I have a really hard time with pre-recorded, but I feel pretty comfortable on live shows.
Yeah, no, you do a good job. I think that it's more like when you know it's being set to like this is your take and you got to do it. I get in my head more, whereas it's just when it's a conversation, it's just a conversation.
Yeah. And if it's not perfect, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right, like the little stutter that I just did there, I'd feel really bad about it pre-recorded, but it's a live show. It just sounds like you're talking.
Yeah. Okay, I got to take one more question here. Let's see. I'm going to say... when making a new god, how much research do we do into their mythology? Do we read their primary sources, such as the Puranas for Hindu gods or the poetic Eddas for Norse gods, or do we use secondary sources? How much time is dedicated to researching them? I would say we put quite a bit of time into researching them to make sure that we get it right. Sometimes we talk to consultants that are true experts on the mythology, especially, or religion, if it's a currently practiced religion, such as Hinduism. We definitely try to be as authentic as we can within the scope of we're making video game characters, and sometimes there's a push and pull there, right?
Yeah, like I think a good example is for Kleena. I did a lot of research into Kleena, and if you are true to her mythology, she probably would not be a Spectre Banshee. But she's Queen of the Banshees, and people had some, like, you're always trying to balance the how true do you want to be to their lore. We do generally a pretty deep dive into that so that we at least understand what the character is about. And then we make judgment calls there about what are the community members expecting for a character. Because often when you actually go dive into these characters, the pop culture persona of what this character means is often very different from their source material in a lot of ways. So if you were true to them, some people might actually end up going this doesn't feel like the character I expected.
Yeah.
So you're trying to balance the authenticity. In some cases, that's the predominant factor. Like when we did Shiva, we wanted to be very accurate. We wanted to be very authentic to everything. That was a very high priority for us. But for some other characters, it's more about making sure the cultural expectation has been met for what this character is perceived to be, right? So it's a really tough balancing act, and we often go back and forth a lot internally on this subject.
Yes. And with that, I'm gonna go back to the laptop as we say goodbye. Our desktop, I guess it is here. We went through our roadmap show today. If you joined late, this is the stuff that we talked about.
Yep.
I'm not going to read it all, but you can screenshot it if you want to read it more in detail. We are excited to be back on Wednesday to talk through the full patch note update. There is a quick Alani check request. I have a lemon zest freeze hint.
Well, they can't even see it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it.
And I have the Coke. I did have an Alani this morning. I had cherry twist.
That's good.
But now I'm just having a Coke.
We appreciate y'all for watching as always. And with that, we will see you on the battleground of the gods. Bye.
Bye.